I feel like this is very surreal because I've been fangirling you for years now.
Thank you.
I feel like I lived through a pandemic you were the bright and shiny during the pandemic when I saw your show.
Makes me really happy. Thank you.
I really have to say this. So for those of you that don't know Julia, I just would love, I'm going to start this conversation out first with most of the most special people in the world usually are handed the biggest amount of adversity. And what I think I think Julia is a testament to that. So I would love for you to just tell a little bit about your background. Just on that front.
So, I grew up in a world very similar to the 1800s, right? I had no education. I was told that my purpose in life was to be a wife and a mother, and that my intellect was less than a man's. I grew up in a world where every boy from the time he's old enough to speak until the day he dies says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shelo asani isha, which means thank you God for not making me a woman. So that kind of says it all. I escaped I decided to leave in my 30s. I didn't know anyone in the outside world. I'd never been on a date. I'd never been to a bar. I'd never heard of a contract. I knew literally nothing about the 21st century. It took me 8 years to plan my escape. I walked out the door 8 years later at 42 with my family, with my children. And I have a 30-year-old daughter who is an influencer and graduated from FIT. My son Shlomo graduated Columbia and works with me on Plus Body by Julia Haart. My daughter Miriam is the youngest person in Stanford history to ever give a class. She taught a class on augmented reality as a freshman. And these are kids who couldn't write a sentence in English when I left. And we're talking, Miriam was 13 when I left, and by the time she was 18, she was giving a class on augmented reality. She'd never heard of a computer until she was 13 years old. My son Shlomo couldn't write a sentence in English and graduated Columbia. So yes, we've been through a lot, but we've grown stronger for it. And I think the universe works in very strange ways, and now what's happening with all the attacks and the anti-Semitism and the hate, having a platform and being able to say, there is no excuse for mutilating babies and killing grandmothers and kidnapping innocent people singing at a concert. Anti-Semitism has taken 1,000 different forms, from religious anti-Semitism to economic anti-Semitism, and now our latest one, political anti-Semitism. But do not think for 1 second that is not exactly what it is. It is just masquerading under a different name. And so I think, women, think about this. Women don't do these things. I bet you that if we replaced all the heads of countries with women, we would not be in this position. Women figure things out. They communicate. So you really want to end all the wars? We got to replace the men. I'm sorry.
I love this. So you're such a big visionary from where you came from. And I just want to talk about, you planned this for 8 years, getting out. What was your vision getting out? Like, what did you think you didn't even have any context.
Oh my God, you want to laugh? You're ready for this one? This is actually really embarrassing. So I wrote in a diary every day because, being a logical woman, I was told that on Yom Kippur, you're supposed to repent for all your sins. And I was afraid I wouldn't remember all my sins. So every night before I would go to sleep, I would write my sins, literally. I'm not kidding, until I was 42 years old. And I would also write things that I'm thinking about, dreams that I'm having. Here was my big dream. My big dream was I was gonna leave my community, I was gonna start a fashion brand, and guess where I was gonna sell it? It was the only thing I knew. QVC. I was like, one day, if I do really well and I create this amazing brand, maybe I can sell it on QVC.
So you plan your escape. You have no money, right? You have no money. You have 4 children, right? 5 children.
Well, I started making money. Under the table, when people thought I was teaching class, I was actually selling life insurance with my sheitel and my thing up to my neck and the whole night. I just looked like a really proper librarian / nun. So everybody trusted me. I looked very trustworthy.
we think that we have it hard as entrepreneurs. Imagine you're going through what you just had to go through. So you're doing that, and then what made you decide to start your first business, and how did that idea come about?
You know, the reason I left was to be able to work. It wasn't to play, it wasn't to date, it wasn't to experience and experiment, although I did all those things. But the reason I left is because I had so much inside my head. There were so many things I wanted to accomplish and do, and I kept on being told that because I'm a woman, I wasn't supposed to. And at a certain point, it was just like living in a pressure cooker, and then just the lid came off, and I was like, wait a minute, if I can time travel and go from the 1800s to the 21st century, I can start a shoe brand. I can create the first ever hybrid between clothing and lingerie. I can change the way, stretch is put into material. I can take a talent a modeling agency and transform it into a media conglomerate. So it kind of felt like if I can do that, I can do anything. And so what I love doing most, I love working. I love innovating, creating, inventing, building. This is what gives me joy. This is why I left, and I'm not going to stop, and no man is ever going to stop me.
No man is ever, we know no one's going to stop you. No one. So in that time, so you start your first business. What's the first, how do you get your first shoe sale? I mean, how do you even get your first, do you get an investor?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I literally, I never shut up. All I talked about was my brand. I was my brand, so I talked about it on airplanes. I talked about it at restaurants. Everywhere I go, I would talk about it, and I would get investors literally at a dinner table. I had 2 investors that I met in a lounge at the airport. I just wouldn't shut up. So anywhere I went, and everything I did was Julia Haart shoes, comfort and beauty, luxury and elegance, plus not having to be in pain all day. Not just thinking about how women look, but how women feel. Massively shocking idea, right?
And I love, and the mission, because I feel like you have a very clear mission for every business that you do. So first, is it always the same, or has it always changed?
To me, I mean, it may seem like, wow, you've done so many strange things, like started with shoes, then went into lingerie, then went into talent management, then wrote a book and a show, and now Plus Body. The one connective tissue with everything that I do, and that's the reason I went to the front lines in Ukraine twice, it's the reason I've gone to Rwanda, it's always about freedom for women, period. That's always the thing. When it was shoes, it was freeing women from the discomfort of having, I'm 5 feet tall. I don't like wearing flats. I feel tiny. I can't reach things on shelves. It's very annoying. But I was in pain all my life, and I wanted to create a shoe that wasn't painful. So I called it Cloud9 technology, and I changed the arch of a shoe so that the pressure points were evenly distributed, and thereby alleviating the pain of walking on a high heel shoe. When I went into La Perla, it was again freeing women from discomfort. Because I don't know how many of you here, you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but if you've ever worn a thong before 2016, it's like wearing a poker up your... And it's torturously uncomfortable. I created the first ever stretch levers lace. I changed the way that elastin was incorporated into fabric, and we made stretch chiffons and stretch silks, which had never been done. I put bras into clothing. We made the first ever corset jacket, so you could be well endowed and not have to have that annoying strap, and your jacket literally held your breasts in place. Again, no more discomfort. When I took over EWG, it was all about runways and billboards, women standing in a line for guys to choose them, and I flipped that on its head. I flipped that on its head and said, wait a minute, they have the audience. The social media is the new media. People should be standing in line asking for them because they bring the audience. And so I created my talent into brands and networks. I truly transformed them, and I shifted the power dynamic, and I gave them longevity by creating the first ever world's most hyper-realistic avatars. When I would say the word avatars, people would scrunch up their face and look at me funny. Of course, when a guy did it on Meta, then all of a sudden everyone's talking avatars. But I started in 2019, and now with the shapewear again, the idea that $8 billion worth of women wear shapewear, and $8 billion worth of women feel embarrassed that they wear shapewear. I do not want women to ever feel ashamed of anything that they're wearing, that they're eating, that they're doing. No more shame. No more discomfort. I want to give women the freedom to live their lives in fullness, because we all do this. Half of the time that we go through our day, we have this internal conversation in our head. I'm fat, I'm ugly, people are looking at me, oh my God, I look terrible, I gotta pull my dress down, I gotta pull my dress up. What I want people to do is put on the shapewear and not think about what they're wearing at all, so that they can be present in their day, so they could own their space, so that they could walk into any room and say, I am woman, fucking hear me roar. Okay.
Woo! Woo!
Sorry, I get kind of passionate about this stuff.
So I love that your mission is, and it's the transparency, it's the not being shamed. And I think that we all hide in different ways. And that's when you're not in your soul's purpose. You're not actually giving to the world because you're so blocked.
Yeah, you're inwardly focused.
I can't imagine. You have done television. You are now, a celebrity in the media. When, obviously there's people that, will say things, or you'll have a bad day or whatever it is, because there's always the naysayers when you're trying to rise higher. How do you deal with that feeling of when you want to go turn inwards and you want, what do you do? What's your first thing that you do to really face it?
Wow, it's a complicated question because, as you know, I've been through a really nasty divorce. I think I got accused of being everything but witchcraft. Well, still waiting for that one. I think any accusation ever thrown at a woman got thrown at my face. And there were moments where I literally just wanted to hide under my covers in my bed and never come out. I'm not gonna lie, there were moments. And then I would get up and I would walk out on the street and someone would stop me and say, I left an abusive marriage because of your show. I came out to my parents because of your show. I think we have gathered over 700,000 DMs, letters, and messages that have been sent to us from all over the world from women who have literally changed their lives because of the show or because of the book. And the one that really sticks with me, I was sitting in a restaurant. I don't know if you guys are anyone from New York here? Okay, do you know Lure Fish Bar? Do you know that place? Great seafood place. And across the street, there's a paper source. So anyway, I'm sitting outside having my sushi, and a woman comes over and hands me a letter, which means she must have seen me, gone across the street, bought a card of paper source, written it, come back and handed it to me. She says, I'm so sorry to bother you. So I'm gonna get a bit emotional. So sorry to bother you, but I wanted to share this with you, and walked away. Anyway, I opened this letter, and this woman writes that the day that my show came out was the day that she had planned on committing suicide. And she had her whole day planned. She had already written letters to her friends so that they would receive them when she died to say goodbye. She had sold her apartment. She had done everything, and her plan for her last day on earth was she was gonna have lunch with her best friend, she was gonna come home, she was gonna watch TV, she was gonna take sleeping pills, and she was going to kill herself. And she's at lunch, and her friend says, oh my God, there's this new show, it's about this woman who changed her life in her 40s, she escaped this fundamentalist community. And so she decided, you know what, that's gonna be the last show I watch. And she turned it on, and instead of watching one episode, she binged it, and she chose life. I have her letter framed on my wall, and so whenever things get really tough, I take a look at that and I remind myself, I did this because I believe in the sisterhood. I did this because I think that stories can change the world. And it's okay to get attacked, and it's okay, and I have to be strong enough, because if we don't speak our truth, no one will speak it for us. And so every time things get difficult, I think about the women who have shared their life stories with me and shown the world that we will not be silenced. And that's genuinely what keeps me going. Sorry.
It's so, oh my God. So, I mean, you grew up in a very religious who do you answer to? Like, what is, I guess to me, because I feel like you're driven by something like very bigger than, bigger mission, but like, and how do you find, if you're, I think we all look at stuff, and especially when we go through hard things, how do you find that center in that inner calm?
I believe in a higher power. I just don't think he cares what I eat or what I wear or whether I call him God or any other name. I think whether it's energy or whatever you think, I think that we are all interconnected. I believe in humanity. I believe in the goodness of people. And I think that, I'm a huge meditator and a big manifester. And I think that, I have a mission. You're 100% right. I wake up to this mission. I go to sleep to this mission. I want an army of financially independent women who never have to ask permission. This is my goal, my mission in life, my purpose in everything I do, and I will not stop until we achieve it together.
So huge, so huge. So then now tactically business-wise, putting together your team, I want to know how you hire. Do you have some certain hiring strategies? Because I always believe the people that you surround yourself with is who you end up elevating for. But of course, that goes with building a business as well.
Beautifully said. And that is the hardest thing, is finding your team. So luckily for me, my entire C-suite are the same people that have been working with me since La Perla or EWG. What I've learned is when you find people who really share your goals and your mission and your values, take them with you. Wherever you go, take them with you. So my C-suite is comprised of people who I've been working with for years. Robert Brotherton, who, if many of you know from the show, who I've been working with since La Perla. Michaela Palma, who I've been working with since La Perla. Robert Zafiris, that I've been working with since EWG. My entire team has been my team since literally I started working. And then, of course, we bring new people in, and the way we do that is I'm too nice. I'm terrible at interviewing people because I just think everybody's wonderful until proven otherwise. So now I have learned that I have to have literally everyone interview the same person because I'm always like, yes, they're great. Oh, they're great too. Well, I don't know, they're great, amazing. So I actually make a bunch of people interview because I just think everyone's fabulous, and then I find out that I'm wrong. So trying to get better at that.
How do you, you're moving 1 million miles in a minute. How do you, what's your schedule? What's like the success, the Julia Haart schedule? And how, I feel like you're getting younger. You're not, you're getting younger, more beautiful, more powerful.
Let's keep talking.
But how do you, what's your daily experience?
So I have a really hard time sleeping. I'm working very hard to increase my sleep because I read all these things about early onset Alzheimer's and dementia. There's such a correlation between how much you sleep, and I'm petrified about that because all I have is here. That's all I've got is this. So that really scares me, so I've been trying to sleep. So now I'm doing this hour-long meditation before I go to bed, and I'm in the pitch black, and oh my goodness, it's such a process. So generally I sleep 3-4 hours a night. I'm up around 4 or 5 a.m. every morning. I draw, I write. That's my creative time. I answer things in grunts. Yeah, not a morning person. And then around 9 a.m. I start with the calls and the meetings. I always make sure I have what I call my creative zone every day where I get to innovate, and because my head is a very strange place and I've already invented 3 new products, but I'm going to slowly drop one at a time. And then I do my usual meetings, content, interviews. There's some exciting projects that are coming that I'm not legally allowed to talk about yet. So there's just a lot going on. And I think, that saying, you want something done, ask a busy person. Just organize. That's what I've learned. You can accomplish so much in a day. Yes, every 15 minutes of my day is literally regimented. I can literally say to someone, I can speak to you between 9:17 and 9:25, and that's fine, but we get shit done. And that's what matters in the end, right?
Have an effective day every day, and brick by brick, step by step, you will get to your goal. I always go, if you can see it, you can be it, right? And if you can say it, and hopefully it'll come into fruition. For this airport hangar, I remember it was empty, and I said, I'm going to fill this thing years and years back. With you, for this next business, where do you see it going? What's the vision?
Well, I'm really excited about this. So right now, it's shapewear. And what makes it unique is it's the first ever shapewear you don't have to be uncomfortable taking your clothes off with, because it looks like lingerie or a bodysuit. Right, as you know, all shapewear in the world is beige, white, and black. It's not because, for the men out there, guys, it's not because it's otherwise going to show up under clothing. Haven't you ever undressed someone with pink lingerie or purple lingerie? We wear all colored lingeries, but the reason shapewear is beige, white, and black is because shapewear is an elasticated material. It's so heavily elasticated that it comes out like this and it stretches. And when you walk down the street and you see someone wearing something a size too small on them, the fabric stretches, they get those nasty lines and the distorted color. Well, we do not dye our material. We had to create a different way of coloring clothing. We heat fuse it. And so you can literally stretch it from here to eternity. It does not budge. So that was the first thing that I did. And then I realized, well, 1 second, if I can fuse color into fabric, shapewear is thick. It adds inches to your width. Nobody wants to be wider. Literally nobody. So I realized that if I can heat fuse color into fabric, maybe I can heat fuse all those layers of material together. And so our shapewear is as thin as a piece of paper. It does not add an iota to your width. And last but not least, shapewear has this delectable, delightful, exciting thing called pancake boob, right? Shapewear is a compression garment. It compresses. And because all shapewear is just sold by body size, small, large, medium, extra small, extra large, and not bra size, you get what's called pancake boob. It compresses your breasts, or they do that thing where they just leave a hole, and you now have to wear a bra with more straps and straps in the back and your shapewear. Ours is the first shapewear in the world that is not just sold by dress size, but by cup size. We have all the way from A to F, all the way from extra small to extra, extra, extra large. I want every woman to feel fabulous, fantastic, beautiful, elegant. I want her to put on my shapewear, walk out the door, and not have to think about what she looks like again. That was part one. And then I thought to myself, what are the other times where a woman is insecure about her body? By the pool and at the gym. Yep. So next season, we're going to be coming out with the first ever, and it's legally allowed to be called shapewear, the first ever shapewear swimwear.
Yes,
it looks like a
very
bathing
excited.
Suit. It feels like a bathing suit. It dries like a bathing suit. But imagine booty shorts a la Halle Berry in, what's his name? Yes, thank you. But they're going to suck up your behind. They're going to squeeze in your thighs. And then you wear a tankini that pops up your breasts, smooths your sides, flatten your stomach, but looks like a bathing suit. So I'm really excited about that. I get to take off my cover-up, which every woman I know wears, or so many of us wear. And then the gym. There are so many women who won't walk into a gym because they're afraid that people will make fun of their bodies. I hate that. Imagine if you can wear leggings that look like Lululemon, well, nicer because I'm going to be designing them, but they look like regular exercise leggings, except they're shapewear. They're sucking you in every direction. And the same for the top. And what do we know about compression wear for exercise? It's better for you. You burn more calories, you lose more toxins. Athletes wear compression garments all the time to exercise, but of course no one's walking in to an Equinox in their Spanx. Well, in 2 seasons, you'll be able to walk into your Equinox with Plus Body Athleisure by Julia Haart.
Woo! You are quite the innovator. And by the way, not an easy area of fashion to innovate in.
No.
I'm fabulous. This is absolutely fabulous. I feel like we all need to be doing pre-orders for all of these things. I love this. I mean, really, I'm seeing it as a marathon runner. I did compression, so I totally see that for healing, for all of those things. It's really actually scientifically proven. I want to ask you, because now you've done all these different businesses and you've had all these things happen. You've, being on the TV show, being all these different things. What are some of the biggest lessons that if you could tell your younger self, when you just started, what were some of the lessons that you learned along the way that you wish you had known?
I was so afraid of bad press. Bad press. Well, honey, I'm not afraid of that anymore. Literally, what I've learned is I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. And I think many of us don't realize what we're capable of until we're forced to try. And so I wish I could go back to my younger self and say well, first I would say, run. Second, I would say, don't get remarried. What the are you thinking? But the third thing I would say to myself is, you can overcome. You can survive. You are going to make it. I spent so many years with self-doubt, so many years afraid of what's around the corner. Now I look at the unknown and I'm excited. And I think that's the difference.
I am excited. I feel like the sky is the limit for you as a human. I feel like the mission for all of us. Do you guys, any questions from the audience that you wanted? Do you have any? I know that you guys are intently watching.
Anyone ask me a question, I promise I only bite on Fridays, and so we're safe.
Anyone?
Go ahead.
Go for it. Here, I'm going to give you the mic.
Already, my day was made because you came by earlier. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
My question is about innovation. Because you're such an innovator and you have all these ideas, do you ever check them with your team, or are you an entrepreneur that really leads with your instinct and sort of once you've got the idea, you run with it?
I don't, without sounding braggy, I'm pretty good at seeing what's coming. So I tend to go with my gut. And most of the things I create are things that when you hear about them, you're like, oh yeah, why didn't someone do that before, right? Why didn't someone make comfortable shoes? Why didn't someone make shapewear that we are not embarrassed to see? They're not things that take any great genius. It's more about seeing the spaces in between. I don't see what's there, I see what's not there. And that's something that I'm really confident about. I don't really ever second guess myself there. Dating, second guess myself literally every day. Business, never second guess myself. Great question. Anyone else?
Yep, here in the front.
Oh, we'll get to you. I don't think he saw you.
Just want to share, you're very inspiring with your story and the passion behind what you have as a storyteller, but also as an innovator. You are a woman who is dialed in a lot of different areas. What is your morning routine to ground your mind to get going and started for a full day ahead?
Have you guys ever heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
I'm obsessed. It keeps me sane. There's a 28-minute morning meditation that is part meditation and part manifestation. I've been wearing this Whoop to check my stress levels, and every day, if I don't do it, my stress is through the roof. When I do Dr. Joe in the morning, that 28 minutes, it changes the day. So if you guys have never heard of him, look him up. Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's brilliant. It's all about the fact that we can control our lives. That we're not living in this oh my God, whatever happens to me, happens to me. No, you take possession and control of your life. And it's really empowering and very calming and soothing when your life is tumultuous. Thank you. Great question.
I just have to say I'm awe-inspired. I know we all are. Thank you for your service of being you.
Well, thank you, Meghan. Look what you've done.
Literally, thank you for your service of being you in the world and giving for women that didn't believe in themselves, for people that need to see other people and their adversity and being transparent about it.
Can we give Meghan a round of applause? Let's give Meghan a round of applause.
This is how you guys all come into your powers. You speak your truth, you turn into your soul, and you build what you believe in, and you stick with it, and you find all the people that are naysayers or anybody that's bad energy, you get rid of them. And you just are around the right energy and the right people that believe in you, and then the sky's the limit. So anyways, I just wanted to end with that.
That was amazing.
The sky's the limit for you. Thank you.